So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to moderate this companies track session, which is going to start now. And I'm very happy that I can meet again a lot of people here at Neutag Park, so with this hybrid conference. And I hope that also who is following the conference online will have the same pleasure as me, so to follow the nice presentations we have. So let's start immediately with the first speech of our track. I'm very happy that I can introduce to all of you one of the most innovative companies that we have at Neutag Park, which is R3GIS, which is going to present a project they did. So I think it's about a new GIS tool that has been implemented in the BBT. So I ask Paolo Viskanic and Marta Pederneschi to join the floor and to make their presentation.
Thank you. So good afternoon to everybody. The third author of our presentation is Claudio Floretta, who is the GIS the collaborator who deals with the GIS data of the BBT. He came to us some years back, first of all, in 2004, we had a contract with the BBT to design their first geodata infrastructure. It was quite a long contract. It went on for about 6-7 years, because in the beginning we had to interview all the different staff from the BBT, understand what their needs are, think about the architecture of the software, about the solutions and so on. We wrote then the specifications which were used for a European tender, and the company who won the tender then developed this first version of the GIS for the BBT. It was completely based on proprietary software, so there was an Oracle database and ArcGIS components. And as you can see from the slide, there were different modules dealing with internal users, with a lot of data and information, hydrologists with specific information about the hydrology of the area between Innsbruck and Bolzano. A project tool was there to show how the project is proceeding. There was a lot of geological data and tools to analyze this geological information. There was a tool for topographers. And finally, there was also a public portal. This was all implemented, as I said, on proprietary software. And it worked fine for the last 10-15 years. It was developed between 2005 and 2009, and we as R3GIS were controlling the whole implementation, but we didn't actually participate in implementation. In 2020, the BBT approached us again and asked if we would be willing to transform this infrastructure into a new infrastructure based on free and open source software. And this is where we decided to, we discussed with them the different possibilities, and we decided in the end to base this new infrastructure on Quantum GIS. We looked for open source tools which were available. We found in Switzerland a nice cartographic web interface developed by Swiss Topo, which was a good base for developing this new portal. And this is where we started to develop our new portal. I will now pass the microphone to my colleague Marta, who was involved in the implementation of this portal, and she will explain to you what we have developed.
Thank you. And these are the new components we used to develop the new infrastructure of BBT. We used PostGIS as database, of course QGIS to create the new maps. and then Docker to automate all the processing in the server, map proxy to cache the cartography, to merge in one single layer all the orthophotos of Tyrol and South Tyrol, and then to generate maps with the reference system of BBT, because BBT create the correct reference system for the infrastructure. And then we use the QVC2, the web client developed for QGIS server. This slide is about QGIS. QGIS is a geographic information system, is a program, and then is maintained and developed by a large group of people. They are GIS experts, informatics, and so on. And of course, is a free software. And the next slide shows how QGIS is involved and the new IT infrastructure of BBT. Each box in this schema is a Docker, and we show now the difference between public portal and private portal. The public portal has 3 different QGIS projects in Italian, in German, and in English. He has 2 base maps and has a specific tool to calculate the distance from a point or from an address. The private portal is only in German and in Italian, and he has a back office tool to update the excavation progress of all the tunnels, of course. And then in the private portal, we have the specific reference system of BBT. These are the data. We analyzed 37 raster datasets and 384 shapefiles datasets. For Italy, we had 319 available data, and for Austria, we had 108 available data. For raster in specific, we maintained 29 resources, 16 are archived, 1 used in public portal, the orthophoto, and 12 used in private portal. And this is a graphic, a cake graphic. And for vector layers, we maintained 365 resources, 144 are archived, 32 used in public portal for the map, and for the private portal with all the geological data, we used 189 shapefiles or vector layers. This is the public portal. Up, you can see the URL. You can visit the public portal and choose your language. So the number 1 is the main map. You can choose between orthophoto, OpenStreetMap, or no background. The number 2 shows the toolbar with the 3 main actions that we developed especially for BBT. So the tool for the distances, the tool for change language, and the tool to have the fixed legend. Down below at number 4, we have background map selection tool. And for the number 3, we have all the tools you can use in a map. So you can calculate distancing with Righello. With a ruler, thank you, Paolo. And then you can print PDF or also download the user guide to know more about the public portal. And of course, you can change layers and see other stuff. The distance tool, I said is a specific tool we developed for BBT. So you can choose an address, app, search address, or you can click directly on the map. And if you are within 5 kilometers from the tunnel, you will receive back the result with the distance in meter, horizontal distance, and vertical distance. These data are calculated with a DTM, a digital terrain model, with values that permits to have a 3D distance. The private portal has all these things, plus, of course, 2 languages, German and Italian, specific geological data, geomorphology, sedimentology, geotechnics, and so on, more accurate orthophoto layers, but they are private, and the back office tool to update the excavation progresses, and, as I said, the reference system of BBT. This private portal is reachable only from the IT network of BBT. It is for specialized user group, for technicians, and we have a different DB and also different kind of data. The back-office tools allows to update the excavation progress. The progresses are visible also in the public portal, on the map, or here in the link below. You can have a schema with the precise kilometers. And the various excavation fronts are represented with the red arrow on the map, and also with the different colors. So you can control the excavation tunnels or the main tunnels advancing. And here are the conclusion. I will let Paolo.
Well, I think the most interesting is that the biggest infrastructure project in Europe is decided to move from proprietary software to open source software. This is really interesting, and we were very happy to see this development. Of course, they wanted a renewed and a performant and modern user interface. They wanted open tools which can be shared, so the fact of passing from ArcGIS to QuantumGIS allows them now to give also to their consultants, share the data with them and give them tools to work on this data. Also, it allows them to have more freedom in develop their own customizations. They don't depend on proprietary software and can do whatever they want on the code if they need it. They also reduced a lot the maintenance costs. I don't have exact figures, but I know it's 5. How do you say? Five figures with 5 numbers, which they saved. So it is also a big saving every year in maintenance. They can update now the maps very easily with QuantumGIS Desktop, which is also a big advantage. They don't have a vendor binding. I mean, ArcGIS developed this for them, but tomorrow, if they want to move to somebody else, there is no problem because it's open source software. And they have the interoperability with all the formats which are supported by QuantumGIS. Finally, they also managed to be compliant with the EU open source software strategy, which calls public administrations and public projects to use open source solutions. So thank you for the floor, and back to Roberto.
Thanks a lot. Can you? Yes. So thanks a lot for the very nice presentation. So I think we can move to the following speaker. So he is Werner Maresch of the company Progress, and he will present an interesting topic, which is open standard for the construction industry. So, good afternoon. The floor is yours.
Yes, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Also, those who are attending the presentation online. A warm welcome from my side, Werner Marisch. And before I introduce you to the open standards made in South Tyrol, I need to set the stage for the industrial revolution and why we need open standards in this case. I need to set the stage and present to you the construction industry. Because the construction industry and its broader ecosystem erects buildings, substructures, infrastructures, industrial structures, and is the foundation of our economies, the world we are living in, and is essential also for our daily lives. So therefore, with all these businesses included, the construction industry is one of the biggest industries worldwide and one of the largest employment creators in the world. And according to McKinsey, I'm referencing to this article, the construction industry is in for a big change. There are 5 major trends which foster these changes. It is big data, it is AI, it is predictive analysis, including the mining data to generate from future projects while integrating lean construction principles. It is additive manufacturing, that means 3D printing of objects by building up structures from small deposits of materials. Of course, it's Internet of Things, networks of objects incorporated in the building system. It is robotics, of course, for designing, building, and applying robots to perform otherwise human work. And, of course, the final point, prefabrication, because off-site construction to assemble buildings creates better qualities in less time and also saves a lot of costs. As of today, off-site construction companies primarily manufacture building elements, but off-site construction will see much deeper integration in the coming years. When it comes to prefabrication, I need to refer to the company I'm presenting here, which is the Progress Group in Brixen, stationed here in wonderful South Tyrol, of course. And with their over 60 years of experience in the construction industry, it is driving this change fundamentally. It is using, therefore, Industry 4.0 principles. That means digitization and integration of vertical value chain. It is using digitization also for products and services, integrating new methods of data collection and analysis, which helps companies to generate data on product in order to refine them for a better living. A few more words on the industrial revolution or the Industry 4.0. The main topic here is information and the availability of information, of course. So based on systems communicating with each other, the ability of machines using devices and sensors can help people to make better decisions and also helps to create more efficiency in an otherwise very complex workflow. The information transparency also enables better decisions, as already mentioned, and also gives humans the chance to overview a process that is very complex. The construction industry, I want to introduce you with building information modeling, the BIM. And BIM, as short for building information modeling, means it is a process that describes in a digital way the whole construction process, from the first drafts to the detailing, the fabrication, but also the erection. And in the end of the life cycle, it can be renovation or destruction, of course. In an environment that is more and more sensible, it is very important to know what is built in a building like this, as an example, what materials were used, what can be reused, of course, and what are materials that has to be sent off because they are sensible. Important to know is that BIM is depending on open standards. In case of the Progress Group, starting with a focus on machinery decades ago, it is now addressing more and more needs in the industry by creating and supporting open standards to improve the efficiency in the whole construction industry. So, digging a little bit deeper into those open standards, IFC and BCF. IFC is short for Industry Foundation Classes and is used to describe the model and the whole construction site. It brings the level of detail from the first design to a level called as-built. As-built is what I already explained, very important in the future. BCF is short for BIM collaboration format and enables the communication between the parties involved. With that, any issue within the process, and there are many of them in the construction industry, these issues can be communicated and hopefully be solved. Which brings me to the next slide. Because IFC is a very general format and allows architects and engineers to communicate those topics, in the prefabrication industry and the business I'm in the last decades working for is we need a more specific standard, open standard, and therefore we were driving the IFC for precast, which is based on the IFC of course, but is more specific and brings in business intelligence. With that said, IFC for precast is now enabling the fourth industrial resolution in the industrialized construction, and IFC for precast is, as mentioned before, a completely new concept that supports the BIM process in the best possible way. And those new standards bring prefabricated construction to a new level of automation. So why am I telling you all of this, all those technical issues? Is there a reason for? Yes, of course. We need this automation and we need those increases in automation and efficiency from a simple reason that can best be described with labor shortage. With an ever-growing demand for more and better living spaces, the existing labor cannot fulfill this demand. In the existing construction environment, we will see not only a shortage of labor, we also see or let's call it safety requirements not fulfilled and have a less quality in the outcome. And to counteract these topics, we need to increase in labor productivity. We need to substitute labor-intense processes, as we see in on-site construction as of today, with machinery and prefabrication. And we need to fast-track the rate of the construction for the benefit of us all to improve quality and sustainability. So, what is possible in the world today? Yeah, I would say it's a smart factory, but I would say it's a smart construction process. Because smart factories and the process very often called as 3D printing is already in place. The technical foundation, as it's called, smart factory, is an intelligent factory that uses a design from an architect, as already explained in the BIM process, and uses this design to prefabricate it in a safe environment. That means there is a quality process in place, there is a process in place that brings up all the errors that will appear in a manual construction, in on-site construction. And this enables a much more efficient process and a better organization with less impact on the environment. As I mentioned, 3D printing, the company I'm representing is also investing or has already invested a lot in this field of technology. And the fourth industrial revolution is said to have extensive dependency on 3D printing. And 3D printing has a very wide field, as you probably know. And even in the construction industry, it's not only meant to produce houses, but it can also create furniture and also create things or geometries that would not be available otherwise as of today. So 3D printing is an additional part in the prefab industry, and it increases flexibility and reduces warehouse costs and has a lot of freedom for the design for everyone's benefit. So with this short presentation, I wanted to give you an insight in the world's largest ecosystem and why it is great to be part of it. And let me close by saying, let's shape the world we are living in and become part of the imagination age, as the Industry 4.0 or the fourth revolution is called otherwise. Thanks.
So thanks a lot for the presentation. We have been very fast with the first two presentations, so we have fast.
Any questions?
15 minutes. I don't know if there are some questions from the floor. I don't think online because otherwise I can make some questions if you can remain here. Because you explained a lot about these open standards in this field, and since the digitalization, so I'm not so expert in this field, but I understand that the digitalization is coming very strongly also there. What can be the added value of having available data and maybe also AI tools to improve your business? Can you say something about that?
Yeah, sure. And thanks for giving me the chance to talk to this topic. The construction industry is in today a very complex business with a lot of parties and different companies involved. So it's not a very easy process, and all the design that is done is normally not, as in the car production, in a very high numbers of reproductive design. More or less every building is a single unit and an example of in itself. So what can be done, as you mentioned, with all the big data that would be available by digitization, is that we can improve the next building by having available the experience that we created by the data we have done in the past. So open standards are needed because a lot of parties involved, and AI and learning from the things we've done in the past is what the big data can be used for in the digitization process.
Okay, so if, for example, there could be, let's say a joint data infrastructure that is developed together from the public sector together with the private sector, so that all these data, let's say also regarding these new constructions, also the factories are made available, you think that, and all this data and this knowledge is made available for everybody with the same conditions, this could help a lot, in your opinion.
A lot of impact and a lot of things to learn from the past and also the failures we already did, or what would be done in the construction.
Okay, maybe let's announce that we are working in order to build something like this, also cross-sector, so it's a new initiative that is called the European Digital Innovation Hub, and the idea is to let this kind of data and AI tools be available in different sectors, in particular also this kind of sector.
Why not?
Because we want private companies like yours to have benefit from that. So I think we are a little bit early, so we have still 10 minutes, so we will start again at 14:40, and in the meantime you can have a relax. So let's start in 10 minutes. Thanks a lot. So let's start again with the next speaker. So I think we are going to talk about again about the Uniro project and probably something which is going to give us a lot of fun, which is the future of vending machines. And I'm glad to introduce Advertisement of the company Seco. So it's a pleasure. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So, hi everyone and welcome. I'm Advertisement. I'm a software developer and I'm a Linux embedded developer with I worked with Uniro project in this last year, and today I'm going to present the Uniro hardware roadmap and the path that led to the vending machine blueprint. So, in the recent years, in most high-tech manufacturing companies, we assisted to a market transition. So now the machines are not just sold, but they are always connected to the internet. And these open up to new market strategies and software as a service models, where data are sent to the cloud to deliver services. Furthermore, this adds possibilities to create more revenue to the customers through data manipulation inference with artificial intelligence. So we have a lot of markets right now. So we have wearables, automotive, industrial automation, aerospace and defense. So some of them need strict certification. Some need custom solution to serve mission and safety critical application. So very often the hardware is heterogeneous. So we have, for example, we have microcontrollers, we have single board computers, and often this is really difficult to scale with traditional development and becomes hard to maintain. So in order to tackle and improve these aspects, the idea of Oniro OS was born. So Oniro is an Eclipse Foundation project that aims to create an open source operating system for consumer and IoT devices that leverage well-known open source components to create an ecosystem of reusable software. So it basically is based on a BitBake build system, and it targets Yocto and Zephyr operating system. It is vendor neutral, so it is not tied to board a specific manufacturer, but everyone can add its own hardware in it. It is community driven because there is a community of companies and organizations that aim to improve and maintain core aspects such as infrastructure. We have documentation, we have CI/CD, we have long-term supports updates, and security updates. This helps to reduce the development costs and scalability, and reduce the time to market for companies to develop their own application. So finally, the core point is to have a multi-platform, modular, and extensible operating system for the technology era, in order to support market's needs. So consider also the importance of the data that the IoT world have. They are start to have SDKs will be integrated into Oniro OS soon. So Astarte is a data orchestration platform that helps to gather the data from the devices to the cloud. It is an open source project with the on-premises server. So it helps to bring all the data and use it to, for example, for using artificial intelligence. We can use it for machine learning. We can use it for real-time analytics, and the customer can use this data to have insights of their products, and they can create more revenue. So to demonstrate these two components, how they work, and how possible company can make use of this technology, the Oniro project develops these blueprints. So they are like reference design of a service that a customer can do with it. For example, this is the vending machine. So everybody knows about the vending machine we all have in offices, in halls that just eject a coffee or have snacks out of it. Well, in the vending machine market is really growing as a market, and with new technology like IoT, with immersive UI and with smart paying system, they are going to improve even more. So, and it can also give new revenue strategies for this. So, in this scenario, we want to design not old design of a vending machine, but really new and extensible new design. So we think of it like a mix of technologies like IoT with edge computing, machine learning, and we imagine it as a platform of services. Well, you have it like a smart kiosk, so you can choose your app in it. You can, for example, it can offer train tickets, it can suggest you events, or even sell you content for digital stores, for example, because I have the smart payment system, so you just use your card, you can use other types of payment, for example. It's important to bring the customer experience at the center, so it can remind you, for example, to use it. If you are nearby, it get your attention, and it can have use of, for example, other type of sensors. For example, it can helps the social distancing. If too many people are in front of the machine, I can say to give some space between the users. And the vending machine is a money maker, so it have to be highly reliable. And so, and another thing to consider is the new business models that can born in this way, because, for example, it can be rented to other companies, while you just manage the part of, for example, you can put advertising on it, and the revenue of the snacks is to the rented company. So let's set the technical requirement. So we want to have high reliability. We want to, for example, we want to retrofit with old machines, and we want to use a new kind of interaction with it. Like it would be really nice to not touch the vending machine itself. We want to upsell things like, for example, advertisement. We want to give the possibility to run games, for example, while you wait for your coffee. We want to remote manage the vending machine, because we want to see to update it if there is something that is not working, for example. And we want to see if there is someone near the vending machine, and we want it to be secure. So with Oniro, we set a hardware roadmap with several boards. So we have a wide selection between microcontrollers and a single board computer and heterogeneous hardware. So we have both prototyping boards and industrial boards, so you can use in real life applications. So for this blueprint, we use both parts that usually is in a vending machine. One is the UI application, and one is the control application that ejects just the coffee, and we split it in two. So we implemented a graphical application and the communication between these two applications. And then we ported it to the Raspberry Pi. And thanks to Oniro, we just changing a compile variable, we changed it to the industrial board. So here is the architecture inside it. So we have an UI application that runs on the hardware and on the Linux part. And through a WebSocket, we just send some JSON messages to the control application that displays like the selected item on the hardware, on the vending machine. That is it is shown as a LED matrix of 5x5. So, and we used libraries that are open source and that can be used by everyone, and it can be improved and adopted by everyone. For the graphics library, we used the LVGL that can be used even with microcontrollers. So you can port it from Raspberry Pi. You used it same with Zephyr, for example, in microcontrollers, and it have been really helpful for this project. I hope others will adopt it. So let's summarize a little bit. The Oniro gives you the possibility to leverage open source things, open source technology. So don't reinvent the wheel every time. So there is teams that use that have security experts in it that controls all the security updates. Basically, there are critical aspects that you don't have to re-implement each time when delivering an operating system, like OTA and connectivity. For example, IP and FOSS analysis is done by a dedicated team. So this reduces greatly the time to market for the application you want to deliver. And so I hope everyone joins the project and on Oniro and Astarte. And I hope tomorrow there will be a dev day where you can get the hands-on the actual hardware and with the expert will guide you to the depths of Oniro. And so thank you very much for the attention.
So thanks a lot for the nice presentation. I don't know if there are any questions from the audience. I've checked online, there was no question. No, maybe can I ask you, but there could be the danger that if we put a lot of new stuff on these devices, that then at the end I have to pay €2 for my coffee because now then the vending machine is very expensive. So how you see the evolution of possible business models with this kind of devices which has much more, let's say, powerful functionalities embedded?
Well, I don't think it will cost more because all the things that we are covering are open source. So this also reduces the costs of development. So the things we are selling, they're also, for example, you have the machine and what you are actually selling is not the snack, but for example, you can buy attention from the user for getting, for example, an advertiser, you can upsell other things. So the real asset here is the attention of the user. So,
So at the end, the new business models are more related for who then owns this vending machine, which have much more data, and on top of this data, they can have new services, and on top of that, there could be some business model developed. So for the end users at the end. Yeah, I have to give my... But the audience, online audience, want... maybe can somebody...
So with vending machine, you basically have what's commercial devices, right? Do you anticipate similar kinds of devices even in your home, like your coffee machine? I mean, what kind of value adds could we add there for your personal devices at home as well? So, do you understand the question?
no, I cannot hear you.
Oh, sorry. So with vending machines, it's more like a commercial device.
Yes.
That's in a restaurant or in an office or somewhere. Can we expect similar devices, similar machines at home?
Ah, okay. Well,
with this kind of additional functionality.
Well, we use like social media that is full of advertising and stuff like that. So I think maybe we can sell things or have something like that in our home that like costs less maybe, and they are like the discount we have it's because we see advertising and stuff like that. It can be done. I think maybe it has been done also. I think I cannot say the name of for ebooks. Sometimes they happen. So, but I think it totally can be. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So if it's okay, I will close this speech. Thanks a lot for your presentation. And we start again at 50:40, so we have a break of about 40 minutes, and then we will proceed with the following presentation. So thanks a lot for the attention. Thanks. That you had a good break during this half an hour period. And I'm very glad to introduce Alberto Seliti of the local company Evo. And I think he will present us a very interesting topic about how the infrastructure can support this digital transformation process. So the floor is yours. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. So welcome to everybody. So I would like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Alberto Seliti, and I'm actually playing different roles, basically. So as I told you, I'm an expert in software development and software quality, and I'm playing basically 3 different roles. I'm a professor at the university in Russia, at the Innopolis University. I'm a full professor there. I'm a consultant with the Center for Applied Software Engineering, dealing with software quality and data analysis. And I'm leading the IT department of the Evo company that is producing outdoor luminaires. And in this talk, I'm going to introduce the experience that we are having inside Evo with to my colleagues that are in the team that we are dealing with the transformation of the company in the digital way. So first of all, I would like to say what is not digital transformation, because when we talk about digital transformation, everybody is talking about usage of technology, digitalization of existing processes. They are talking about the introduction of tools, basically digital tools, and talk about whatever is related to technology. But technology is not the main component of the digital transformation. Of course, it's a good part for that, but it's not the only one. So when we talk about digital transformation, we are talking about a number of different things that are all related to technology and especially data nowadays. But we are talking about people in particular. We are talking about overall strategy for the company. We are talking about the organization, on how everything is organized inside our company. We talk about culture, and of course we are talking about our customers, and at the end we have the technology. So these are the main component of a digital transformation. But when we talk about all these aspects, there are an enormous amount of aspects that each of these 6 aspects are important when we talk about the transformation. So one of the most important aspects is the part related to education and training of the people, because we are going to introduce a revolution inside how we deal with our products, our services, and how we organize the company, and we have to train our people. We have to train the people and make them in line with what are the expectations for that. Then we have the strategy of the company. The strategy of the company is basically related to whatever is their business goal. So their business goal with the digital transformation can change quite a lot. And the products and services that used to be, they are maybe still relevant, but only a part of what they have to perform in order to achieve the result. Then we have the organization part. So basically all the processes, all the structure of the company have to be changed in some way in order to address the transformation that is happening. Culture. Culture is basically how we work in a team, how we look at the challenges that we have inside our company. And these are aspects that need to be changed as well, because the paradigm is changing. Customers. We have everything that is related to how we interact with our customer, how we sell products, how we sell services, how we get feedback from the customer, and how we get other assets from our customer that are, for instance, data, and how we manage and interact with the data that are both inside the company and outside the company. And at the end, we have the technology that make everything else possible. So the technology then is an extremely important aspect that is just at the end of the process. It's not the key aspects, but is extremely important because the technology allows us to enable a complete transformation of how we deal with let's say, with the organization and the identification of what are the important aspects and important revenue streams that we have inside our company. So we talk about different levels of maturity for our, let's say, digital transformation. At the beginning, we wanted to focus on data and assets that are internal in the organization. So basically, we focus on making the production more efficient. Then we have a set of steps that are here mentioned as 2 and 3, as basically start to use the data not only for operational efficiency, but also for include some services that are based on the data that we are collecting and using from the supply chain, basically. And the third level is that we are using all our data that are coming from different sources integrated in order to provide new digital services. And this is the ultimate step for the digital transformation as far as we know today. So which are the main challenges from the point of view of the technical aspects? So for example, we have basically 3 aspects that are extremely important. So the creation of a uniform infrastructure, so basically the use of different tools and technologies that enable the creation of a set of products and services that can be consumed at different levels. So it is very important here to have a common development platform, a common deployment platform where all our systems and tools can work. So we have a number of technologies, all of them open source, that are quite useful inside the organization for making the platform useful for the integration of the different services. And then we have another aspect that is automation. So try to transform what is the knowledge that was passed through the years inside the organization into something that is actually something that can be seen and reviewed through the automation of the different processes, the automation of the deployment infrastructure, the automation of all the basic technology that will be the backbone of all our services that we are going to develop. Another aspect is the data. So, you know, data is extremely important in any kind of organization nowadays. And basically, we have 3 main aspects. The identification of the data. So, in companies, one of the main problems is to know what you have. So, the identification of the problem, the data that can be acquired and where these data are is extremely important to define what are the data streams that we can collect. Then, of course, we have the acquisition process that is basically mining the data, cleaning the data, exploring the data, and then we have the latest step that is basically the analysis. So that is starting from the exploration, we go through the modelization and the interpretation of the data. So all these aspects are required in order to find out what basically you have inside your company. Because many companies at the beginning, they have no idea what kind of data they have and how they can use it. So this is the main challenge that you have to deal when you talk about data. And when you have your data, you have collected your streams, and you know that you have some possibilities and you can perform some analysis, you can identify different kind of analysis that you can perform. At the beginning, you have some basic analysis that you can perform, just what is called descriptive analytics, in order to understand what happened and why it happened later on, and then to perform a more complex analysis in order to create a prediction and also create some scenarios in which you know how to control the evolution of the system. So basically, data enable you to perform basic analysis and more complex analysis that, of course, require more data, more insight on the data, and more knowledge about how to deal with them. Of course, you need another bunch of tools. So this is just a small example, so is what we are using inside the company. And these are the things that are needed in order to leverage on the technology that we want to build. So basically, these are the basic components for the creation of the architecture. And the latest step is looking at the business model. So basically, we have to update our business model in order to include all these aspects that we have identified through the analysis of the data. So basically, we have to transform the internal knowledge into new products and services. So this internal knowledge can create new products, new services that can be used both internally at the beginning and then exposed externally as well. Then we can use the data to enhance the products. So we use the data that we collect, also from our customers, our tools, how they behave in practice, and use this data in order to enhance the existing products. Then we have other possibilities. We have the possibility to complement products with services. So we have our products, and we wanted to create value-added services on top of them, like, for instance, provide some analysis, some predictive analytics, and so on. And the latest step is to introduce new revenue streams that are based on subscriptions. So recurrent revenue streams that are based on the data that are continuously provided by different sources. And basically, all of these are the challenges, but are not the only ones. There are a number of different challenges that need to be addressed. One is related to the creation of internal IT expertise, because nowadays you cannot afford to have a company without an internal IT expertise, because you need to know how you can collect, analyze, and deal with the data. So you need expertise about the infrastructure, expertise about the development, and expertise about data analysis. All these three, of course, at different levels of maturity can be introduced inside the company. But at least a minimum level of understanding and a minimum level of competences is required inside the company. Then, of course, we have the make versus buy dilemma. So what to do? You want to build everything from scratch, or in any case, build inside the company, or you want to buy this expertise? This is quite difficult to say. So there is a balance that we have to understand, and it depends on the resources that you have available and how you want to deal with your future. And you have to deal with the development teams. So basically, you have to deal with the challenges that are related to the creation of such new services and processes. So you have to deal with practices that are related to the development, like Scrum, Kanban, Lean, DevOps. All these aspects are quite common in the development world, but are quite new in companies in which they do not focus on software development. And these are basically challenges that need to be addressed. So as a summary, I can say that when you deal with technology transformation and basically digital transformation of a company, you have to plan it carefully and find out that it will change quite heavily the entire structure of your company. It's not only the adoption of new tools and new technologies, but is a deep reshape of what you have inside your company and how the company is seen from the outside world. So this is a quite challenging opportunity that is quite interesting to deal with. Thank you.
So thanks a lot for the very nice presentation and the comprehensive overview about all this. Is there, maybe we have a space for one question from the audience? No, maybe I can make a question, because you spoke a lot about the data. And what's, in your opinion, the importance of having publicly available data that everybody can use for developing this kind of applications? Because I think this kind of public asset could be very important for the future. So what's your perspective also from your company?
Yes, I definitely agree. So we are a company that we are producing outdoor luminaires. So we are interested in understanding the data that we have available in the territory, for instance, where there are the needs of illumination, where there are the needs of collecting some data, analyzing some data, the structure. And having this data coming from the public administration or the public authority is extremely important for us, because we can use this data and supplement this data with our internal knowledge in order to create new services. If we have to develop completely ourselves the entire pipeline of data collection, will be very challenging for a company that is a medium size. Yes. So maybe it's affordable for Google, for Microsoft, but not for us that we are a medium-sized company, even if we have a good knowledge about products, services, and so on, but the powerfulness that is required and the competences that are required in order to collect so many data streams is beyond the opportunity of a medium-sized company. Mm-hmm. And leveraging the cooperation between public sector and private sector, I think, is extremely important for the creation of new services that will have an enormous value added on top of that at a reasonable cost for the enterprises.
Thanks a lot. And of course, then in the future, there will be always more this service level also, because of course, if you want then to build a service in the market, of course, you want that all these data streams have a certain quality.
So there are a lot of
aspects that then you have to consider.
Data quality, data service level, security of how you manage the data, how you manage then the elaboration of the data, granularity of data. There are an enormous set of problems that are related.
Yes, so we need young people that jump in, because there is, in the next 10, 20, 30 years, there will be a lot of...
Yes, basically we are hiring, so we are looking for people that are interested in joining us in making this vision something that is practical, and we are building products out of that. So basically, we need people that can join us.
So thanks a lot for this talk, and let's move to the next speaker, who is Stefan Partner from the company What's Venture. So I think he's coming. Maybe can I keep, and also the, thank you. Pointer. So, perfect. Do you want to present from there, or?
I think I go with the clicker.
Okay, and also with the microphone. Yeah. So, I think in 1 minute, so we have 1 minute, maybe I can present you, because I think now we are going to have a different number of presentation about one of the most, let's say, discussed topic in the open source community, which is business models. So how we can make money with open source, which is something also in the past was always a question mark. But we believe that now the community has understood that open source does not mean free and without having the possibility to building business models about that. And I'm happy that we have several examples and talks about this topic, so we can further consolidate this exactly what I have said. So I give you the floor, and please.
Wonderful. So thanks for having me. And I will now talk about how to actually go about assessing new business models. I will not go into depth on which potential business models are out there for open source. That will be done in the upcoming speech right after mine. So I'm Stefan. I'm partner at What Venture. What Venture is a corporate company builder. In the next 15 minutes, I would like to talk to you about what corporate company building actually is, and then B, introduce some frameworks to you that then you also can use in how to go about when assessing new business opportunities. So what is actually corporate company building? Maybe to get into that topic, would like to tell a little bit about our story of What a Venture. What a Venture was founded 7 years ago with the idea or with the core mission to help corporates to have success with innovation. We started off as a pioneer with corporate startup collaboration, so bringing out corporates to work together with startups so they can be faster to the market with new products and new technologies. At the same time, we also supported corporates in entrepreneurship programs, so with the question on how to motivate own employees to hand in ideas and then to support them in developing that. We have run these kind of programs now for 7 years with large companies around the world. We did global programs for DHL with their startup lab. We worked with Daimler, worked in Germany with Uniper, but also here locally in South Tyrol together with Alperia on their startup collaboration. And one of the things that we realized is that this type of collaborations and entrepreneurship programs work very well when talking about innovations that are close to the core of the company. So ideas and business opportunities that lie next to what the company is already doing. And then we decided that in order to have more impact on innovations that are a little bit farther from the core, so more disruptive or more radical, that we want to develop into a corporate company builder. And as a corporate company builder, we started to invest together with corporates in new ideas and to bring them to the market, starting from scratch, starting from initial thoughts, and really going the way from defining the idea, developing the concept, validating and bringing to the market. To give you one example, Pixelfarm. Pixelfarm is a startup that is a pure digital product that leverages machine vision and artificial intelligence to count the numbers of apples on an apple tree, measure the diameter, and to help the farmers in monitoring their harvest, giving them forecasts and so on. But let's now think a bit or talk a little bit about our type of frameworks or our thinking that we have. The key problem that we start with, and every company starts with when they have an idea, is that, and there's literature about it, that about 80% of product launches actually fail. And we discussed a lot about the why. And this has a lot to do that when talking about radical business ideas, that you are then in an area where you have a new business model, respect to your current business model as a corporate, and typically work also with a new technology. When something is close to the core, corporates are very well prepared with the incremental innovation, and there are a lot of things that they know, and they know what they don't know, and can manage that risk well. When going in the upper right quadrant, you're faced with unknown unknowns. So when starting a product idea up there, you don't know yet what you need to learn, because it will be a discovery, and then step after step you will know more. And this challenges typical corporate settings, because they don't know how to handle this type of uncertainty with respect to the risk that they know how to handle. There are different ways how to go about that. Maybe on the far right side, it's the just do it approach. Now say, hey, this is an idea, let's hire a team, let's put them on it and have them work on it, and we give them a bunch of money and let's see how they do. On the other side, the maybe more typical, and the first, maybe on the right side is a typical CFO or venture capital approach. Yeah? Put money on the problem and make sure that it will get solved. On the left side, that's more of the typical consulting type of approach, where you do lots of analysis, you plan out exactly how the project and the product should look like, do a lot of paper exercises, and then follow through in implementing that. And what we identified that for us, a key approach is to have a smart entrepreneurial approach, where you have a setting where you're able to take quick decisions. So having kind of the best of both sides. Look at the right team, focus on the learning, and do work with time boxing and budget boxing. And one of the key features of that is also being able to bring in entrepreneurial team that has already an innovation mindset that really can start working well from the first day if compared to other approaches. So first thing we look at when assessing a business opportunity is, do we have the right team? And when talk about the right team, we don't necessarily talk about the skills in terms of who can be the CTO, who has specific technical skills and so on, but rather what type of people do we have actually? Do we have, and for us it's very important to make sure that we have those three types of people that we have here on blue, which is on one side the visionary, so one person that really has a vision for the product and the vision of the world in which the product will be successful in, because he will be the type of person that when challenges arise, he will find other ways around it. Then we need to have a driver, someone that is determined to work on the project. So really start doing and not just talk about things, but get out there, talk to customer, find the first users and so on. And at the same time, maybe kind of opposite thinking, you always need also to have someone that is kind of a guardian, that might seem to be the one that's slowing down things, but someone that starts questioning things, someone that is very detailed oriented and really make sure that you keep the feet on the ground. And then as you grow, make sure to have also some empathizer in the team that makes sure that the team actually will stay together. As mentioned before, for us in the core team, it's not necessarily important to have all the skills in terms of doing, so the developer and so on, but rather think about having an extended team. People that you have in your direct sphere. For us, those are people that would be within our organization. Nevertheless, they don't work exclusively on one project, but they would be then put in as an extended team on a need basis. I also love to call it kind of a shared services environment, where you get the developer for the 1 month or 2 months that you need him, where you get the marketing expert for a couple of days, where you can get sales boost for a few weeks, and then really put those people in and the expertise in when you need, and then always also be smart about thinking what are the kind of activities that you can have external support with. Taxes, accounting in the beginning might not be something that you need in the core, but can have somewhere as an extended support, or also if the development of the software is maybe not the key of the company, also have an external developer as an external support team out there. So now I would like to introduce 2 key frameworks that we use. And the first is the Federico Framework. And those are the 4 main things that we look at when we assess new opportunities. First of all, is it feasible? Is it technically feasible to implement that idea? Is it, on a legal point of view, feasible to implement that kind of idea? Are there any contradiction, any red flags that we don't know of yet? Second, desirability. Is there a need in the market that are we actually going to fulfill? Are there potential users out there that have a pain that we want to solve and can solve? Third of all, viability. And viability is about the economic viability. So is there actually a business case behind it? When doing the math about it, is there actually a positive sum then that we can work towards? And fourth element is the contextuality. Contextuality meaning in the ecosystem that I'm working in. So if it's a corporate, then the corporate setting. Is there actually a place for this type of project in the community? In the corporate, is there a place for this? Is there a business unit there that will actually then be heading this type of opportunity? Will there be investors out there who can support me with my product and my project? Now, of course, on all those 4 things, you can start going in detail right from the beginning. And then this is where the second framework comes in. And this is our kind of business idea journey. Please don't see this as a process, but really as a framework in terms of thinking. The innovation journey or the business idea journey can be divided in several steps. And for each step, you start going a little bit deeper in the problem. So once you have the idea ready, so I have a clearly identified business idea, you go in a first assessment phase, where you really have a look at the idea, in a 360 kind of degrees view, but as you see in terms of timing, very fast. So maybe this is a 3-day workshop where you start discussing all the 4 elements from the framework that which I showed you before, and get the first understanding where the main issues are. Is the issue the feasibility? Is it technically possible? Or is the issue rather on the desirability? Do we actually have potential clients out there? And then start working on that in a proof of concept logic. So proof of concept means you go one step deeper in the matter and talk again about the 4 identified dimensions of the framework, but start going deeper where there is more need to go deeper. So if technical feasibility is not an issue, you just make a kind of a check mark on that. But maybe then the proof of concept is about going out to potential clients, asking them to sign up for a beta version or sign up for the waiting list for your product. You have customer interviews on a qualitative basis, asking them, how are you solving this problem today, to really understand how you can make an impact. Next step would then be the minimum viable product. And in our understanding, a minimum viable product is not just a technical minimum viable product, but it has one key component, which is having a client using it and a client paying for the software or the product that you have. So really onboarding someone that uses it, gives you positive feedback, and stays on the potential software solution also after the trial and starts paying for it. So really having delivered this value proposition to a first client. Then the next step is about the minimum viable company. So once you know that the product does work and there's a need out there, then start setting up a company around it. Start setting up the processes so that you can continuously deliver this value proposition. And then last but not least, then going into scale and manage sustainable growth. So when talking about a business opportunity, always have in mind that there are those 6 steps in it. When you then go on the download page, you can download some more details that we just talked about. Just want to have that here for you. If you want to know more about this topic, there are some white papers that we have written about it on how to get the first customer, what is a minimum viable company, and other than that, some suggested readings, especially when you're in a corporate context. I consider discovery-driven growth, and I think for virtually everyone that is interested in launching his own business idea, read the MOM test. This is a very short book, but very, very insightful. So much from my side on assessing business opportunities. Thanks for listening and looking forward to some questions.
Thanks a lot. So thanks a lot for the presentation. Are there any questions from the floor? No? Maybe I can make one question. Because you explained very well, so the way you try to support an idea to our business. And can you provide us also some inputs, if any, about experiences on ideas related to open source technologies that are based on open source technologies? Mm-hmm. So, are there any other aspects in relation to this kind of ideas mm-hmm. that need this kind of support? Are there any specific countermeasures for that?
I think there are kind of two ways in looking at it. Whether it's about monetizing an open software, so open source project. So really trying to build a business model around the product itself and let's call it selling the code or the software for someone to use it. And on the other side, building upon open source software, so building a service on top of it. And for us, also the example of Pixelfarm, also there we leverage some open source elements in there, in the development. And for the rest, I always say the frameworks as such that I have shown stay the same. You might need to tweak it, look at it from a different angle, but always think in the business model that you have in mind. Who is the customer? Who will be eventually paying for it? Is it an institution? Fine, but does the institution have a need? Do they really want to support you with it? Is it a client that will leverage the software? Yes, how are they going to monetize it? And there are the different business models, which I think will be coming up next in the next speech in detail, so I don't want to go into that.
No. So at the end, we can summarize that if you use open source technology, it's not that much different as if you don't use that, because at the end you have to understand your target groups, you have to define your business model, and that's it. So so there's actually no difference from we can. This is also an important statement, because as I said before, a lot of people think that there is no business opportunities with open source, but we have a lot of examples nowadays.
Absolutely.
So thanks a lot for the presentation and for your contribution, and may in parallel invite the next speaker, Shiva Rayesh. I hope that I pronounce it correctly. Sorry for the case. Maybe you can
hand over.
Hand over. Thank you. And maybe let's wait just 1 minute, and then we start perfectly in time. So thanks in the meantime to the previous speaker. Thanks a lot. So let's give a little bit of time also for the people who are online, that maybe have to join from one virtual room to another one. And I hope that we can go on then with, let's say, the discussion about business model and open source. I have read your abstract that is available also on our website, and I'm really looking forward to your contribution to the conference. So I think 30 seconds, so we try to keep the time very precisely. With these hybrid events, it's very important. So as you want, if you also want to speak from there or with the microphone, as you want, okay? So I leave you the floor. I think you can start. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Hello, everyone. And, okay. So before I start, I'd have to strongly state a disclaimer that I don't represent any company when I am having this talk. It's mostly inspired by my conversations with a lot of freelance developers in India. And the problem that I noticed is that there were a lot of great ideas, and the developers were capable of developing many nice projects, but they were not motivated enough to take it forward because of several reasons, mostly economic. And this attempt or this thesis of developing a business model is based or is targeted to these new startups, or let's say single person freelance kind of situation. So why now? Well, in the words of Winston Churchill, the time is ripe. Open source softwares have stood the ordeal of time and have stood the ordeal of competition with many conglomerates and have grown in an unprecedented manner. I remember MySQL when it was acquired for $1.6 billion. I thought it would be the highest valuation an open source software can ever achieve, but today we are seeing these numbers being far surpassed. So it's an indicator that open source software is robust and it is there to stay. The other important reasons are that it's now extending into several verticals: EdCom, FinTech, transport, mobility, and because open source software ideas are not prevalent enough, there are big companies like SAP or IBM Maximo having a monopolistic approach in the sectors, and clearly open source needs more of a push to be more of a credible competition. So the idea is to have a monetary incentive at a very early stage for a freelancer to be able to keep the business innovation running. Without the virtuous cycle of economic motivation, there is no push for a freelancer to keep pushing. So, and the other important motivation that I see in this is that the collateral opportunity that is created. So once there is a new business model, which I'll show in the next slide, there are many other opportunities like different forms of licensing, different forms of support services, and that could mushroom growth of other type of new services. So this is what I talked to some people and developed as a very raw business model for a freelance open source provider. So when the open source provider is creating a code that is used in an asset that is potentially monetizable, it should be tracked as in, since we have good telemetry and tracking techniques, the monetizing is tracked of that end product, and then there should be a profit sharing model. Now, I'm sure there are many questions here regarding the distribution, because who gets because what if one person changes 2 lines of the code, and how is the profit decided? Of course, these are things that need to be ironed out. A gentleman before me very clearly has very strong evaluation techniques to understand and iron out these things, I suppose. And the economic model that so and the licenses also will be an issue, because it's going to be it's going to take time to develop a new kind of license, perhaps, that is inclusive of such a distribution, and the distribution itself needs to be very highly controlled. So I suppose it cannot be freely available as a conventional open source software. It can be available on request or something like this, and then as it goes forward, the usage is tracked, and the profit is shared. So this is very short presentation. There's my summary on the downloads, I suppose, and I think I would like to take some questions if there are.
Okay. Are there any questions from the floor about the proposed business model? I think it's more about the possible implications of because I think also in your slide that there was a lot of possible aspects that you have to look at.
Yes, the idea is to push forward, because there is no rewarding phenomena for a new student who comes into open source, who has brilliant ideas and is not motivated enough to take them forward. So that was the reason why I started talking about such a model where he is aware that if his product is credible enough to produce a monetizable asset, he is able to get some sort of a reward at a earlier stage, which doesn't require him to have experience in sales, which does not require organic growth of the product. This was the idea.
I understand. But at the end, as we already heard during the previous talk, it's always about a business, defining the right business model for the right idea and the technology that you want to develop, because I don't think there is the same recipes valid for...
No, this is again, as I said, specific to single people, freelancers, yes.
Okay.
A relatively short talk.
Are there any observations and comments from the audience? Otherwise, I would suggest to stop here and maybe we have a short break and we start again at 16:40, so in about 16:40, Okay,
Thank you so
let's
much.
have a small break and then let's start again with the next speaker. Thanks a lot. So, I think we can start again with our session. So the next speakers, so we have a couple of speakers from the engineering group, so Noemi Maglio and Elena Marchisa. And so the topic will be always regarding business models, but in particular, as far as I understood, on a specific domain, which is analytics and business intelligence tools. So please come on the floor and present us your solutions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. So I see many people here today. They want to see us talking about business. But let me start with another story, which is a love story. So 2 years ago, when I first joined our team, which is Knowledge Labs, there were these guys who were so interested in getting in contact with us. And problem was that our team, they were so focused in developing the product that they couldn't even find a moment to talk to these guys. So here I am, it's my second day of work, and I think, let's pick up the phone and talk to these guys. So they were just trying to get in contact because they wanted to tell us that the product for them was great. They loved it. They were so enthusiastic, and they wanted to cooperate with us. So what we did was, oh, sorry, the slide. So what we did was starting to collaborate with them. So they started giving us feedback on the roadmap, feedback on functionalities of the product, and we also started to collaborate with them, starting to help them with the promotion of the product in China, in Asia overall. So the story ended up with an engagement. Today, I know I have a partner in Asia, and I can rely on them because they're one of my greatest partners, and they know they can rely on a great product. So my name is Noemi Maglio, and in this talk, I will tell you just a few tips on how you can grow a business based on open source. So first and foremost, why do you think customers love open source? Well, because of course it's reliable, because they want to see what's inside, because maybe they want to modify it, maybe they want to add new functionalities, and maybe sometimes they also want to learn coding because they are in a university and they want to see what's inside the code. But I think basically because they want to be curious, they want to see what's inside, and mostly they want to feel free to do all these things. So that's also why we call it free software and not just open source. So what do you think is the first thing our customer says? They say, hey, listen, Noemi, we love your product. We love it, and we want to know more about it. And how do you think we know it? Well, simply because we talk to them. We talk to them every day. We want to talk to them. I want to reach you. I want to understand who you are and what you're looking for. So first and foremost, try to understand who your community is. So one tip that I can give you is be active outside the company. So of course you should start from the reputation among developers. So for example, GitHub stars is an example. Then you should go through evangelism. So you should really try to reach your users. And then, of course, work on the metrics. So who is downloading your product? How many downloads do I have? How many questions they're making? And then, of course, in the end, do a lot of branding. So make sure there's awareness in the web of your brand. And that's why I asked Elena to join me. And by the way, don't think that all your users will become customers. Of course not. So this is very tricky because you may ask, okay, so where's my revenue? Well, the revenue may come in a long term, okay? So for example, think of users in a university. Think of users spread all over the world. Users can become more than customers. They can become partners. So that's why we say that partners are a special treasure, because they can help you grow, they can help you distribute your software, and maybe they can deliver support and services in all those areas in which maybe you're not so comfortable, such as in the love story. So how can you start? Start thinking of your product. So of course, software is a product, right? It lives, it dies, it becomes obsolete, but it needs maintenance, okay? Then it needs that after you install it, you really want to have your users able to do great things with the product. So maybe you can try delivering trainings. Maybe you can try delivering maintenance of the product. And that's your value proposition. That's how we call it. We call it value proposition. As an example, at KnowEdge Labs, we provide custom services. We also can develop functionalities that maybe are not there. But we can do it if you ask. I mean, if we have requirements from our customers. So these are just a few examples of value proposition. So you can have support and services. Maybe you can do some differentiation in the licenses. And many people are doing the SaaS model. And yeah, as you can see in this slide, you can work with big companies like with Google, with Azure. I mean, don't be afraid of talking to these people, because when it comes to business, it really helps. What you should do is try to avoid alienation between proprietary code and not proprietary code. So remember, customers do not want vendor lock-in, so don't do it. They want to buy, of course, from who wrote the code. So that's your advantage. And the other advantage, yeah, I see somebody pointing. Yeah, that's true, because that's your value proposition. And the other advantage is they don't have your specific expertise, okay? So try to, tell them a story of your branding. What else? Be active inside the company, okay? So start to collaborate between marketing and development, okay? So invest, of course, in the outbound marketing, if you can, and expand your reputation inside customers, and of course, try to create a link between the two areas. So it's really simple. It's just like funnel steps, right? So you go from awareness, extension of a community, lead generation, and business development, and then in the end, hopefully, purchase order. So to recap, few steps. Focus really on your competitive advantage, okay? Figure out who is your customer, figure out in which segment you want to operate, you want to target, and then understand well what is your competitive value, which is, of course, not what your competitors are doing, and build a great collaboration between the teams, marketing, development, developers, product managers, and of course, nurture your community. So deliver software, deliver trainings. We do this every day, trainings, webinars. Elena is here to tell you everything. So get ready, a great go-to-market plan, and in the end, make sure you start executing it. So speaking of execution, now I'm asking to my favorite colleague, Elena, who's in charge of the marketing at Knowledge Labs, to talk about it.
Thank you, Noemi. Well, in a few minutes, I will share with you some key elements of the digital marketing strategy we developed for Knowledge. Of course, Knowledge community begins with developers contributing to Knowledge source code on GitHub, but our community greatly expanded thanks to digital marketing activities, opening up to new collaboration and business opportunities. The key element of our digital strategy, of course, is the website. Website collects all information, resources, and initiatives about our product. Among the most successful contents we deliver through our website, we have the success stories where users tell their stories using Knowledge, and the online demo, a real online and free installation of Knowledge with already built analysis that user can access, user can explore Knowledge without the need to download. We use the website also to collect more and more information on our users, who they are, what's their behavior, what they are looking for. For this, we use the registration form you have to fill to download Knowledge, which is free. And we also use the metrics, of course, of the website. Through our website, users can access to webinars. Webinars are great because they allow us to share knowledge and useful contents, but also give us the opportunity to develop a one-to-one conversation, more and more customized with the participants. Webinars are also a great opportunity of collaboration with our partners and the most active community members. Through our website, it is also possible to access the question and answer forum. Here, users can find free support, but they can also provide support themselves to other users. Here, as you can see, we can also add a little bit of gamification, setting rewards and achievements for the most active users. Another powerful tool to leverage is advertising. Advertising can really boost the reach of your message and can help you to nurture your funnel. Our personal advice is to use advertising not only to promote a single web page, for instance, the homepage, or a strictly promotional material, but use it to deliver useful and original contents. Well, there's plenty of tools and initiatives you can add to your digital marketing strategy according to the product you are willing to promote. Here you find some other suggestions, but I would like to end this talk with 3 main suggestions. The first one is to try really to deliver original content, to share your knowledge. The second one is to try to better know each member of your community, developing a one-to-one conversation as possible. And the third one, of course, is to keep your eyes and your ears open to any collaboration and co-business opportunities that can arise. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot for your great presentation about also your experience on how you can make money with an open source project. Are there any questions from the floor? Any curiosity? No? Okay. If not, I would say we can make a short break and start at 5 p.m. with the next speaker. So I invite the next speaker to come here, and in a couple of minutes we start again. So 5 o'clock exactly. Thank you. Okay, so we are back again. Next speaker, Daniele Fontani from Sintra Consulting. And let's introduce a new aspect related to open source, which is open mind. So Daniele, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay. I spoiled just the slide. Okay, coming back for the first one. Hello everybody. Here you can find the link for getting in touch. You can reach out after the conference. I will be very happy to continue this conversation later, maybe on LinkedIn or in front on a beer. This talk is about the change of mind we have passing from open source to open mind. So this come from a different way we can look at the open source. And this change of mind would be very hard to explain if it wasn't so clear, so easy. And I will start from a very, very hard question. This question is what they asked to me in 2005. It was the Stone Age in the informatic era, and I was moving my first step on this field. And everybody was told that giving their product for free was for loser. Because if you think to open source is what you are doing, you are producing something, you are producing software, and you are giving for free to the community. So where is your business? Where is your revenue? How you can monetize this? So at that time, we talked that open source was for loser, and moreover, there was a simple association between a simple relationship between open source and Linux. If you talked about open source in that years, well, open source was Linux. There wasn't any other idea about that. But then in 2005. I made GPL license, so I had the opportunity of reading this great license, and I understood that there was more that operating system and penguins. So I understand that I could write software and share my work with others. And moreover, I can get contribution from the others. I can get their works. I can improve my works thanks to the contribution. So I understand that there is more in open source. Well, someday after I deployed my first open source application. I laughed about explaining what it was. It was an IDE for CSS. Well, in 2005, not all the IDE has this functionality, so I created this one, 2005. Well, I created it, I deployed to the internet, and in few years I got 100,000 downloads. Okay, at that time, at that age, it was a very huge number. So, and I was 19, so for a 19 years old that was moving the first step on this field was a very huge result. But of course, what was my profit? I had no money, no one single dollar from this operation, but I learned a lot of experience. I make experience. At that time, at that age, I had an application with automatic updates, with error reporting, with usable UI components. I got feedback from the university for that, and I got a lot of endorsement from the community. So it was very interesting. And this made me do a very high jump forward on my career, and was very interesting for me. I didn't stop. I understand that open source is not GPL, is no more GPL, is no more Unix, is no more Penguins. It's just a philosophy. It's a philosophy that can ethically share your work and create big community. Big community can are good for sharing intellectual property to everybody. Well, open source is more than taking software for free. We are not just talking about downloading the last Linux distribution or downloading the last word processor. We are talking something more than that. You are not talking just wearing a t-shirt with penguins. Open source is more. Open source is a philosophy. It's something that you have to embrace. Well, how open source helped me? Of course, that was my competencies in 2005. Okay, this is a perspective from a developer in 2005 with just few knowledge about client languages. Well, after 15 years, I had expanded my competencies thanks to open source, thanks to the contribution I have done, and thanks to the contribution I've received on my project. So it was a very interesting journey that every developer should do for improvement itself. And moreover, I also improved my soft skill, because as developer we are always focused on the last languages, on the last library, but not on the soft skills that are also important for a developer career. And I learned how to manage a remote team. I had to talk in English, and I have to show my face in a repository during the call on my website. So I had to write I don't have just to write code. I had to write the best code possible. Well, so was very jump forward in my career. But most of us could tell you should just training. Why do not training and more? Why a company should invest in open source? Why a company had to make profit? Why a company should invest in open source and give their software for free? Why a company should share their intellectual property with others? This is, again, every business principle. Well, why? We will discover it. We are talking about the open source limit. Open source has a limit, apparently has a limit, because you have central cost, because there are an entity, the company, that are paying for developing, and the benefit are shared between all the community. So apparently, open source is not business, apparently. And we are talking about limited revenue, like support or pro version. So the costs are central and benefits are shared for free. Yes, again, open source is for loser. We jump again to the same conclusion? No. Why not? We are talking Facebook, Google, Microsoft, and you can see the ramp up. The ramp up, since 2008, we was moving from quite zero, to 7 billion in 2015. I'm talking about money that these giants are investing in open source. So, the question is, they are loser? Also they are loser? No. They are not loser, and moreover, they are not no profit. Okay, we are talking about corporation that make profit. You can see the stock that are increasing. So we are not talking about no profit entities. Well, they are not foundation. So how I can earn from money from the open source? There are basically three ways. First one is dual licensing. So you can just give a pro version, a enterprise version that is a paid version. You can add some SIS services, so you can give the client and you can give some hosting or some services that are needed for making the whole project work or accelerating it, and you can get funding from no-profit organization. So the big picture is that one, because we have, of course, central cost, but we have also contributors that can give something back to the company, and we have free user that can become paying user, and so we have a central cost, but open source can also lead marketing initiative, can help us to spread the application, it can help let us monetize using SaaS application. And for a developer, well, you can experiment without make damages to your company. And you can impress your boss with what you learn using open source software. You can learn what you want without any damages for the company, of course. And what you learn, it's your. And what is yours, nobody can bring it back. It is personal branding. And finally, when we talk about open source, we are talking about a win-win approach, because the company has a revenue, because it can sell, it can monetize, and can make profit from open source. The developer can grow with the contribution, and the community give the great benefit for getting software for free. Well, we are no more talking about open source. We are not more talking about the business model. We are talking about a new culture. We are talking about keeping our mind open for this great opportunity that we called open source. So thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for this very passionate talk, sure. Because I really felt that you really love what you did in your past.
Sure. I try to make passion in everything I do, yeah. Of course, and I'm very happy to be here on the stage, finally in person, and having the opportunity of talking with you about open source and trying to give you also a different point of view, and hoping to really open the mind of everybody and help companies to get the best from open source, and to developers to get the best from open source too. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Are there any questions from the floor? I don't think so. So I think we can close here, and we start with the next speaker at 5:20. So we have about 8 minutes for the next speaker. I invite the next speaker here so you can test and so on. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
let's start again with the next speaker, Xiaofeng Huang from the University of Bolzano. New topic now, agile transformation. So it's also very interesting to have a look at what's going on also in that field. So please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you all to be here at this late time, and thanks for people who are online and watching this talk. Yeah, as the presenter said, it's probably going to be a different talk, so I'm going to talk about agile transformation. From my perspective, I think one thing that probably the COVID did good is that really highlighted the importance of agility for companies. So nowadays, companies start this agile transformation journey, either voluntarily or forced by the situation. So I hope that this talk will be interesting for the companies that actually started this agile transformation initiative. Okay, agile transformation, really it is a journey, and a journey that can lead the company to agility. And actually, a lot of companies, they have already started this journey long before COVID started. And I used to go to conferences, and I will hear people talking about, the difficulties of transforming their companies into agile organizations. And often, what you hear is this argument: safe or not safe? So should we adopt this famous SAFE framework? SAFE stands for Scaled Agile Framework. It's probably one of the most successful commercially framework to help companies to achieve agility, and probably the most adopted also these days. And people then started to run into discussion, SAFE or other methods. I think about it, actually the assumption made behind this question is there's a unique way, or method is a way to guarantee success in agile transformation. So if it's not safe, it's another method. So if a company starts their agile transformation initiative by asking this question, they already started to fall into the very first pitfall, or better, challenge in this initiative. Why? Because if they start asking this question, they are going to very quickly really lost in the jungle of different agile methods promoted by different companies, different consultancies. So this is not really the right question to ask. And actually, you heard this famous saying, right? All roads lead to Rome. And actually, in the past years, we have conducted a piece of research. We studied experiences of more than 130 companies, their experience of transforming, scaling agile in their companies. And the point we got is that these companies are working in different business domains. They have different business models. They have different sizes, large companies, small companies. So by studying the experience of these companies, we couldn't find a unique pattern that these companies can follow. So there's really no one way or a set of ways to achieve agility. So I use this saying, all roads can lead to agility. So the point is that you need to pay attention to some of the biggest and most common pitfalls. Because if you run into this and you're not aware of that, then the initiatives probably will be doomed to fail. So that's what motivated my talk. And very first pitfall I would like to talk, and this always people run into it when they are overly enthusiastic about agile approach, agile way of working, is that they jump into transformation initiative without thinking, what they want to achieve and why they wanted to start this difficult journey. So in a sense, there's a lack of shared vision. And this shared vision is very important. To avoid this, I would like to draw into this picture, or better, this model that some of you may know about. So this is a kind of STOUT model adopted very commonly in startup community. So whenever you want to start a project, start an initiative, if you want people to get on board, the right point to start is not to explain what part, so what method. For example, safe or not safe is the argument about what part, it's the method part. And it's not even about how we do things. It's actually about why we start this initiative. Because the why part talks to the emotional part of human being. And this why part has much stronger influence to the people's behavior. So that's why the first pitfall to really avoid in an agile transformation initiative is avoid starting with method, with what part, and starting thinking about what is really the vision behind, what is the true benefit your organization wants to get to start this initiative. Second one, we got this, and we can do this on our own. And this pitfall probably more common if the company is, let's say, a software company or has a strong engineering culture, because agile approach, agile methods, they started from software companies. And in the past 20 years, there are a lot of companies, they somehow started their agile transformation initiative in a secret manner. So in a sense, engineering teams are doing in hidden, so not letting the senior management to know that they are doing agile, because they think that senior management are kind of, too old-fashioned. They will never buy into the idea of agility and or doing things in an agile way. This is fun if you want to confine agile way of working only at the team, at the small unit level. But when we talk about agile transformation these days, we are talking about bringing agility, bringing agile way of working to the whole organization. In this case, it's not just about, the core business parts involved. There will be also surrounding units involved. For example, sales part, human resource part. So how to bring the whole company on board? If there's no leadership support, it will be very difficult to have all company on board on this initiative. And here, what I want to point out is really that the leadership here we talk about in agile transformation is not the traditional, leadership has the vision, leadership leads the way. That's not the leadership style really working in agile transformation. And what is working is here called servant leadership. You see the hand here, it's the supporting function. That is the leadership that creates an environment so that people can take their own initiative, have the sense of autonomy, and collectively push the initiative going forward. And leader will give up somehow the sense of command and control and trust people to get things done. And most importantly, they need to create a kind of safe environment for people to try and fail and learn from the failure and going forward from there. So this servant leadership is what we meant the leadership needed in this agile transformation. The third pitfall, and also from the experience of the companies that have done that. So they had their pilot projects successfully done, and now so what? They don't know how to sustain their agile initiative. They don't know what next to do, what's the sensible thing to do. And one tip that we could talk about is this having an institution role of Agile office, or has a dedicated role called Agile coach that can sustain the Agile initiative in the company. And this is a demanding role. And it's even better if you can find this role within your company rather than resulting the consultant company to bring this role from outside. Because people inside will have more commitment, higher level of motivation to help people to go through this Agile transformation journey. And you can see it's actually the competencies needed are really from all the different knowledge area for this Agile coach role. Last but not least, the pitfall to avoid is this, often in the community they discussed about this. You know, doing Agile is not enough. You need to be being Agile. So putting emphasis more on the behavior and culture change. So nurturing the mentality of the company rather than putting too much emphasis on process and tools. So because as I already showed you in that golden circle picture, behavior will stick. And if people understand the motivation, behavior will take people going through a long way. And for this, I will point you to this initiative that's really highlight what is the right Agile behavior or Agile mentality, Agile culture that you could cultivate in your company. And there are different areas that you could work on. So the most important, I will point at this creating a psychological safety environment in the company and let people feel free to try out, feel free to fail, and then they can learn from their failure. So these are really two, if I pick, I will pick these two to work on first to create this Agile culture in the company. And to sum up the talk, as I started, Agile transformation is really a journey, and it's a never-ending journey. Because being Agile, you can always reach the next level of agility. And as any journey, what you need are not really, a designated path, but something that indicates you that you are going towards the right direction. So the idea of compass, right? And the point is that you cannot buy this compass on the market. There's no one compass that fits all companies. So you have to build your own agility compass. And now some advertisement. So in our faculty, in our research group, we are working on the research that understand better what are the components that can compose this agility compass. And we would like very much to collaborate with you if you are interested. So let's get this conversation going, and I really hope that this talk will be useful for your Agile transformation initiative. Thank you.
So thanks a lot also for this very interesting talk, and hope that everybody has the possibility to find his own agility compass, as you told. And I also believe that the COVID has really put us in a situation that we had to go agile. And I think that maybe one of the best experience of this very bad period is the fact that a lot of businesses have moved in that direction and had made the first experiences.
Right.
So thanks a lot for this contribution, and let's start in 5 minutes with the last talk of today. So I invite the final speaker to come here, and thanks. Okay, I think we can start with the last speaker of this afternoon session. Next speaker is Paolo Dincao from the company Prima Assicurazione, so I think insurance sector. and he will tell us a story about how you can bring something in production in a very short period, as far as I understood.
Yes.
So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this talk. My name is Paolo Dincao, and I'm an engineering manager at Prima Assicurazioni. Today, I'm here because I would like to share with you how a team with only 3 developers can build and ship to production a software that basically replaced an enterprise solution built in more than 10 years. First of all, I would like to say that I'm not here to advocate the idea that you could rewrite or you should rewrite all the software in your company from scratch. In our case, rewriting was a good solution for a couple of reasons. First of all, we have more than 1.5 million customers, and we help and support more than 5,000 customers per month. So in our case, scalability is very important, and the previous system couldn't cope with that load anymore. Secondly, we didn't have an impact on the feature plan for the other solution, and we needed features in order to integrate better with the rest of our infrastructure. Lastly, we are a data-driven company. We need a lot of data, and the previous solution couldn't provide all the data needed by our analysts. Probably, from the beginning of this talk, you have been wondering, okay, but how could 3 developers achieve this result? Well, actually, we had 3 developers, but the team was much bigger. We had a sort of cross-functional team, so we had 3 developers, a Scrum Master, we had analysts, product people, we had security people, we had operational people, and basically they all worked together, and part of the team was from Clarinet Italia that's helping us. All the team worked as a unique entity, and basically we all worked and aimed for simplicity, and we really focused on what mattered. So even though at the beginning of the project we tried to represent all the needed requirements in a user story mapping, we tried to simplify things a lot, focused on what mattered, and basically we identified an MVP that we could, release to production. And then we use and we harness agile methods at Prima Assicurazioni. In this case, we used Scrum, but I would say that we are kind of pragmatic and flexible. So basically, we adapt the process, and we always try to achieve the result, not to focus too much on the process. From a practical point of view, I would say that we combine modern technical practice with collaboration, but in the end, collaboration was the real key, right? For example, inside the development team, we promoted collaboration, adopting mob programming, or better, ensemble programming. Basically, all the team work on the same feature at the same time, but with a little bit of, being pragmatic. I mean, sometimes some developer worked on its own. We promoted collaboration with the operational people. So after the first weeks, we tried to create an environment in order to release our application, a staging environment, pretty close to the production one. And then, basically, we instrumented our code, we stressed our application in that staging environment, we profiled the application, gathered data, and then improved the system with this feedback. And more than that, we sort of engaged the security people, we collaborated with them, and they ran penetration testing, we collected more feedback, and we improved the system. After some months, actually, we reached a point where we were very close to the MVP we identified at the beginning. So we started to wonder whether it was possible to test the application in production with real users. So we ran a pre-mortem. Basically, all the people had a meeting online, and we started to think, okay, but what can possibly go wrong if we release tomorrow the application in production and expose this to the real customers? And then we identify all the weaknesses, and we started to fix them, and we were a step closer to this test in production. Then actually, I remember our first test. We released the application to 15% of our customers for 1 hour. We had some slightly problem, but in the end, the experience was very positive. So we started to increase day by day and week by week the frequency of our tests, the amount of time for the tests, and the amount of user affected. And this was really helpful in the end because we could collect more feedback and improve the system. Because one thing is to test your application in a staging environment with 10, 15 users. Another thing is to test your application in production with 5,000 users, 10,000 users. You can get a lot of more feedback, and actually you can discover a lot of corner cases and fix them and improve the system. At one point, our application was online as much as the older application. And basically, when the older application started to fail again, we basically had a fallback on the new application. So our product owner, she says something like, OK, we need to be a little bit bolder. And you know what? We are going to burn the ship. So actually, we switched off the previous solution, and we were online only with the new one. And actually, for the first hour, it was a little bit of a mess because an external player started to fail. And basically, we were under a little bit of stressful situation. But luckily, we had a plan B. So we could basically provide still a good solution for our customers. And then, once more, I discovered that great teams behave well and calmly, even under stressful situations. So we all worked together, and this happened because our product owner, our CTO, they were really calm and focused on solving the problem. And basically, they served as a role model for the rest of the team. So we worked hard, we fixed the problem in 1 hour, and basically, everything was fine in the end, and we could grab some drinks, and we could enjoy our success. And actually, we were in a remote call, and we started to cheer remotely, but it was nice. So actually, we have been online for 1.5 years now. So I'm still wondering whether it was a success or not. Was it? Well, I cannot provide a full answer on this. I have only partial data that I can analyze. But for sure, if you remember, one of our problems at the beginning was scalability. And in this case, our product was a success. We don't have anymore any kind of incident. Scalability is not anymore an issue at all, and we even increased the number of customers that use the system. And then we collected a huge amount of data, and our analysts are super happy, and we can improve the system for our internal and external customers. And basically, we now have the freedom to adapt the system, add new features, and basically improve the system even more for our, once more, internal and external customers. So for me, yeah, it was worth it. Now, what's next? The point is that whenever you solve a problem, well, at least during these years, I discovered that whenever you solve a problem, you have new opportunities, new business opportunities to chase, and then you discover new problems. So, for example, what I'm wondering right now is, can we support business requirements that 2 years ago we couldn't even think of? Because we are a super creative company, so we have new products, we want to try new things, and what I'm wondering is whether our application can fulfill this requirement more. And then, as I said at the beginning, our application was very tailored on our domain. So in our plan, we want to be the leading fintech in Europe. So this means more countries, more businesses. And so I'm wondering if we can extract a framework from this product for the other countries. Finally, we are growing in an exceptional way. We are always hiring, and new developers are joining the team. So I'm wondering whether the code is well documented, whether it's easy to understand and to change. And this was pretty much all I have to say about this product. So I would like to remember that we are hiring, so you can take a look at our opening position in our website. And I would like to thank you, and if you have any question.
Thanks a lot. Are there any questions from the audience? No, maybe just one curiosity. What was about this application? Because you told at the end you didn't provide any kind of detail.
Yeah, it was an application that we use in order to support all the requests we get from our customers.
So another sort of issue tracker, if we can call it like that.
Yeah, it's not an issue tracker. It's more like a way our internal operators use to support all the requests that are coming through different media.
Okay. Okay. If there are no other questions, I would say we can close here this track. I would like to thank you, all our speakers, all the people who have attending this presentation, either here at Neuter Park and also online. And thanks a lot. Have a good evening. And for the, let's say, the participants, let's see you all again tomorrow morning with the second part of the conference. So thanks a lot and enjoy the evening.